Get ready for a revelation so deep it could reshape your entire perspective on yourself, your reality, even the flow of moments. This is beyond typical spiritual practices or quick self-improvement hacks. The understanding you're approaching was once a closely held secret by wise guides of old, veiled in layers of enigma. Very few were ever privy to this insight, and now it seems to have reached you. Pure chance, or is a greater destiny beckoning? Deep within you, there's a dormant power, an internal sight that perceives far more than your eyes ever could. You've likely sensed it. Those peculiar instances where you possess an undeniable knowing without a clue how. Perhaps you felt eyes on you from afar and immediately looked. Or maybe a dream you had vividly played out in waking life. These weren't just odd happenings. They were flashes of a profound consciousness, already part of your design. This inherent talent has always existed within, silently anticipating your recognition, and now, for reasons still unfolding, this moment feels pivotal. Imagine a doorway long unnoticed, swinging open before you. But be aware, crossing that threshold is a one-way journey. Your view of what's real will be permanently transformed. The dual realms you inhabit. Are you aware that two distinct planes of existence unfold simultaneously? There's the one you perceive, and another you usually don't. You're always shifting between these, even if you only recognize the first. Picture entering a chamber with a pair of entrances. One opens to the everyday world you know well. The second reveals a sphere of being that most individuals are entirely unaware of. Across the ages, some people discovered how to move through both, not through sorcery or make-believe, but using an aptitude as innate as taking a breath. These people weren't inherently different, they just recalled how to tap into what's been collectively overlooked. This capacity isn't beyond nature, it's as supernatural, an element of your being intended for activation. And you know what? A part of you is already awakening. You sense it, right? That gentle nudge towards something greater, like a forgotten tune teasing your mind or a memory striving to be known. That sensation is no fluke, it's an indicator, a quiet prompting from your core self that understands life holds more than visual reality. 2. The overlooked capacity we all share. Envision possessing a secondary form of vision, not located on your face but residing inside you. A method of seeing that needs no illumination or physical lenses, functioning instead through gut feeling, deep understanding, and heightened awareness. This isn't make-believe. Each night during sleep, you employ this faculty effortlessly within your dreams. Indeed, you explore entire universes without physically budging. How do you suppose this occurs? Young ones frequently access this with ease. Ever see babies seemingly gaze into nothingness with wise expressions? Or hear small children discuss things unseen by grown-ups? They aren't just fantasizing. They're merely using the ability they haven't yet been conditioned to ignore. Modern inquiry is starting to align. Research indicates our minds handle vastly more data than we consciously acknowledge. You've had this happen to you, like when you abruptly sensed someone's gaze, or a friend came to mind just moments before they contacted you. These are not simple coincidences. These are junctures when your inner perception sparks to life. And now it's your moment to learn how to maintain its openness. 3. The trio of foundations for inner clarity. To fully awaken this capacity, you require a solid base. The ancient guides found that 3 fundamental components must synergize to unlock heightened perception. Consider them as essential parts of an impactful formula. Omit one, and the entire structure crumbles. The initial foundation is conscious stillness, not merely tranquil surroundings, but the quietude nestled between your thoughts. It's the zone where your most genuine self exists, away from the chatter of daily cognition. Mastering access to this stillness while remaining completely alert is crucial for unlocking greater awareness. The second is intentional respiration. Breathing is a universal automatic process, but when performed with purpose, it acts as a conduit linking body, intellect, and spirit. Age-old wisdom knew specific breath patterns could unveil new dimensions of consciousness. We now term it breathwork. In earlier times it was regarded as sacred. The third is deliberate concentration. In our distraction-filled world, sustaining profound focus is both uncommon and potent. Imagine projecting a concentrated light beam instead of a diffuse glow. Faint light has little impact, but focused intensity can penetrate steel. When you merge this type of concentration with conscious stillness and purposeful breathing, something remarkable starts to emerge. These 3 foundations create the framework upon which inner sight is constructed. Engage with them regularly, and you'll begin to sense the barrier between worlds becoming thinner. 4. Cultivating your internal environment. Before exploring the methods, let's address groundwork. Many think they require candles, fragrant smoke, gemstones, or flawless settings to start. While such items can contribute to atmosphere, the essential preparation is internal, within your own mind. Your mind can be like an untamed landscape, overgrown through time. Ideas and feelings sprout uncontrollably, jumbled and disorganized. To embark on this path, you don't have to tend the entire landscape. You simply need to prepare a little section where you can nurture your intent. Dedicate a period daily, even just 10 minutes, to your practice. Your location isn't paramount, your sleeping space, a serene park, even a restroom cubicle on your lunch hour. What truly counts is your regularity and dedication. External sounds, temperature variations and interruptions will always exist. Learn to cooperate with them, not fight them. Even urban noise can become an instrument for honing your attention. Gradually, your mind will come to honor this period as special, and the routine will strengthen. 5. The 7-breath pathway, accessing expanded perception. We now arrive at the core of the discipline, the 7-breath pathway. This is more than a relaxation technique, it's an entrance to elevated awareness. Why specifically 7 inhalations and exhalations? Because each one correlates to a stratum of depth, leading you steadily inward. The initial breath is like unsealing a portal that's been closed for ages. As you draw air in, visualize absorbing golden radiance, a representation of lucidity and vitality. With every outward breath, discharge stress as if clearing residue from a long neglected space. By the second and third breaths, the perception of time starts to warp. Your intellect gently disengages from the typical torrent of thoughts. Maintain relaxed eyelids, yet keep your consciousness keen. The 4th and 5th breaths are where the significant transformation occurs. Some experience a sensation of warmth or a light buzzing at their brow center. Others perceive gentle hues or patterns with eyes shut. Don't actively pursue these phenomena, merely witness them. Allow them to drift by like formations in the sky. In the concluding 2 breaths, you achieve a state of profound serenity and alertness. It's akin to being on the verge of slumber, yet utterly conscious. This is the point where the division between realms diminishes. Remain at ease. Have faith in the unfolding. The inner sight you're cultivating will manifest when you are prepared. 6. The gateway of consciousness. There is a precise interval just prior to sleep when your mind transitions into an exceptional state, neither entirely conscious nor fully asleep. The wise ones of old termed this the gateway of consciousness. It's a hiatus in your perception, a lull in the flow of mental activity. Most individuals traverse it nightly, unaware. It's like navigating a dark passage. You sense a shift but don't recall the actual changeover. However, if you start to focus, you'll discover this gateway is far from vacant. Indeed, it's teeming with possibility. It's where thoughts dissolve into quietude, where your sense of self loosens its hold, and where the lines between you and the universe become indistinct. This isn't merely a brain function, it's an opening, a subtle one certainly, but an opening all the same. To grasp this space, consider your mind's typical operation. While awake, you're ceaselessly sifting through information. You're responding, strategizing, recalling, and anticipating. Even in seemingly restful moments, a low hum of mental processes continues. But at the gateway, that hum recedes. For a fleeting instant, everything quiets, not due to forced silence, but because the thought engine has naturally paused. This pause is brief. In moments, sleep takes over, or you jolt back to full alertness. Yet what transpires in those few seconds can be deeply significant. Many describe abrupt realizations emerging from this edge, answers to issues they weren't consciously mulling over, long-lost recollections coming to light, or even vibrant mental pictures that seem more tangible than dreams. The method to intentionally access this zone isn't force, but familiarity. Like training your ear to detect a faint noise in a busy place, you must teach yourself to recognize the delicate changes in your awareness. Begin by being attentive as you drift off. Don't resist the sleepiness, embrace it. Instead of completely letting go, aim to stay aware as your body unwinds and your mind starts to wander. You might feel like you're floating or descending. That's typical. These are indications your brain is changing frequencies from beta, the active alert state, down into alpha and then theta patterns. These slower rhythms correlate with reverie, meditation, and the initial phases of sleep. They're also connected to ingenuity, intuition, and understanding. As you start to identify these shifts, you perceive that the gateway isn't a singular point. It's a domain, an inner landscape that lies beyond normal perceptual filters. And once you're acquainted with it, you can learn to enter it voluntarily, even during your day. Try this. Sit at ease and shut your eyes. Allow your breath to become slow and full. Start to watch your thoughts flow, not interacting, just observing. Pinpoint when one thought concludes and another hasn't started. These intervals are the borders of the gateway. Initially, they'll be tiny, mere flickers, but with practice, they'll expand. You might find time acts unusually in these zones. A second can feel like an age, or a whole minute might disappear unnoticed. That's because our usual linear time sense is linked to the constant stream of thought. When that stream slows or ceases, time loses its framework. And in that unstructured space, something different arises, not precisely thoughts, but impressions, emotions, images, sometimes words heard in a voice that appears to emanate from everywhere and nowhere. These are not figments of imagination, they're glimpses of a profound intelligence, ever present but usually obscured by daily mental noise. Some label this the subconscious, others term it the collective unconscious, yet others think it's a direct line to greater wisdom. Regardless of the name, one thing is evident: when you access it via the gateway, it feels both intensely personal and deeply universal. A most compelling aspect of this state is its universal accessibility. No special instruction or tools are needed. No particular belief system is required. All you need is inquisitiveness and the readiness to look within. Naturally, that's more easily said than done. Our contemporary world trains us for outward focus, pursuing objectives, gathering experiences, and gauging success externally. Introspection can feel awkward, even futile initially. But the more you engage, the more you discover the immense richness beneath the surface. At the start, your explorations will be brief and inconsistent. You might only catch a fleeting view of the gateway before thoughts pull you back, but each return strengthens your capacity to remain longer. You develop what some traditions call inner fortitude, the ability to stay conscious in states where most lose mindful contact. In time, you may find you can slip into this space even while conversing or walking. It becomes less a hideaway and more a companion, a tranquil presence accompanying you through daily chaos. This doesn't mean you stop thinking. Thoughts still emerge, but you now recognize them as transient phenomena, like clouds drifting by. You no longer identify so strongly with them. You transition from being the thinker to the observer, and that shift alters everything. From this new perspective, you begin to discern patterns previously unseen. You notice how often your behaviors are driven by old routines, unexamined notions, or conditioned reactions. You start to doubt if your long-held views are truly accurate or merely familiar. The gateway becomes a looking glass, showing not just your mind's contents, but the structures shaping your perception. It uncovers your underlying assumptions, the narratives you tell yourself, and the lenses through which you see reality. At times, this can be disquieting. Facing the blind spots in your awareness means facing those in your identity. But it also delivers clarity, because once you've seen the mechanics of your own thought, you gain the liberty to step beyond it. This isn't enlightenment in a grand, mystical interpretation. It's more a gentle awakening, a recognition of more to your experience than initially perceived. And once you've touched that space, however briefly, you can never quite see the world in the same manner again. So, keep revisiting that threshold. Keep observing the spaces between thoughts. Keep exploring the zone where nothing seems to happen, yet everything is possible. Because within the gateway of consciousness, you're not losing awareness, you're accessing a more profound level of it. And that, conceivably, is the most precious gift. 7. The rhythm of brain activity. Your mind transitions through various states daily: focused, at ease, sleepy, and dreaming. These changes are like different broadcast channels, each providing a unique type of perception. If you observe closely, you'll note your thoughts, feelings, and even bodily sensations alter based on where your awareness is currently focused. During daytime, you're mainly in the rapid beta wave state, excellent for efficiency but not optimal for inner discovery. Beta waves are prevalent when you're actively thinking, resolving issues, or making choices. They keep you anchored in the external world, facilitating quick reactions, meeting targets, and managing daily affairs. But they also have a downside. This high-frequency mode can be mentally taxing and often obstructs access to deeper insights. In beta, your attention typically remains outward. You're constantly seeking cues, responding to messages, decoding social interactions, and handling stress. While crucial for functioning today, it leaves scant room for self-reflection. The inner world becomes like background static, noticed only when problems arise. But as the day winds down and activity lessens, so does your brain's rhythm. You begin to drift into alpha waves, a more receptive condition where ingenuity and intuition flourish. Alpha is the link between wakefulness and dreaming, between action and being. It's where concepts flow unimpeded, inspiration emerges, and relaxation deepens without complete detachment from reality. This is the state many creators, writers, and pioneers access when they describe being in flow. Time feels malleable, distractions diminish, and the mind opens like a clear expanse after a storm. In alpha, you're still conscious of your environment, but your connection to it softens. You become more of a watcher than a doer. Alpha waves are also frequent during light meditation, extended nature walks, or even a warm bath. They foster calm, lessen anxiety, and create mental spaciousness. In these moments, understandings often arise, not from active thought, but because your mind has shifted to a frequency allowing new connections. Deeper still, you reach theta waves, the domain of meditation, dreams, and sudden intuitive flashes. Theta is slower than alpha, operating just beneath conscious awareness. It's the portal to the subconscious, home to memories, emotions, symbols, and archetypes. Many report vivid mental pictures, downloads of information, or abrupt clarity upon entering this space. Theta is also where hypnagogic phenomena happen, the fleeting images, sounds, or feelings as you fall asleep. Some call it the gateway to dreams, and rightly so. Here, time elongates, logic relaxes, and the distinction between self and surroundings blurs. In Theta, you're not merely thinking, you're experiencing. This state is especially potent for healing, emotional release, and creative advancements. Bodily, stored traumas often surface here, frequently in symbolic ways, ready for acknowledgement and integration. Theta is also where many spiritual explorers report interactions with guides, ancestors, or higher self aspects, though interpretations vary by personal beliefs. Then there's Delta, the slowest and most enigmatic brainwave pattern. Delta waves mostly occur during profound, dream-free sleep and in advanced meditative states. This is the realm of pure unconsciousness, or so it was believed. Recent studies suggest Delta might also be a direct conduit to universal consciousness, where individual identity completely dissolves and a deep sense of oneness appears. Delta is uncommon in waking life but attainable. Long-term meditators, mystics, and those in deep trance sometimes access Delta while fully conscious. In this state, there's no self or other separation, no thought-sensation distinction, no past-present boundary. It's a return to the origin, an experience so immense words cannot capture it. Understanding these brain activity states isn't just theoretical, it's useful. Recognizing the daily dance of frequencies within you gives you the power to shift deliberately. You can learn to move from overstimulated beta to calmer alpha, then dive into theta for insight, healing, or visioning. The secret is awareness and intent. Most people are subject to their default rhythms, stuck in daytime beta, anxious and wary, then falling into restless sleep instead of naturally cycling through alpha, theta, and delta. But observing your patterns lets you guide your nervous system to more supportive states. Start by noticing when you naturally enter deeper awareness, perhaps early morning, just before waking, or during dusk, when the world is quiet. These are natural entry points. Instead of resisting, lean in, linger in the quiet. Your best ideas might come then, or emotional tensions might release more easily when you allow yourself to slow down. Treat whatever comes up as data, not to be fixed but understood. Navigate these waves like a surfer learning ocean currents. With practice, you'll manage your mind's currents with growing skill. You'll recognize which states suit which aims, when to focus, when to relax, when to rest. Crucially, you'll find these state boundaries aren't rigid, they're fluid. Just as water shifts between ice, liquid, and steam, your awareness can shift between waking, dreaming, and deep rest. Conscious breathwork is a powerful practice for exploring these transitions. Slowing your breath, extending exhales, and pausing between breaths can gently guide your brain to lower frequencies. Try this. Sit comfortably, spine straight. Close your eyes, focus inward. Breathe slowly in through your nose. Inhale for about 4 counts, exhale for 6 to 8. After a few minutes, add a 2-count pause after inhaling and exhaling. Don't force, let the breath find a natural rhythm. Continue for 10-15 minutes, observing your body and mind. You might feel lightheaded initially, that's normal. Your brain is adjusting and old tensions may surface. Over time, this practice helps access deeper awareness surprisingly easily. Guided meditation or binaural beats are also effective audio tools to lead the brain to specific frequencies. These can be helpful if you're new and need support. Whatever method you select, the aim is the same: familiarize yourself with your full inner experience. Stop identifying solely with beta's surface chatter and rediscover the richness beneath. Deepening this awareness, you'll also notice how external settings affect your internal state. Noise, light, digital inputs all influence your brain waves more than you realize. A bright, overstimulating room keeps you in beta, while dim light, soft sounds, and few distractions help you reach alpha or theta. So, be mindful of your surroundings. Create spaces that support your intended inner journeys. Whether a quiet nook with a blanket or a forest path, match your environment to your goal. Remember, this isn't escaping life, it's expanding your capacity to live fully. By consciously moving between brainwave states, you boost creativity, improve emotional control, and open new perceptual pathways. Eventually, these shifts become effortless, no longer needing special conditions. You'll access alpha clarity during a presentation, theta insight in a stressful meeting, or delta peace on a crowded train. That's the true power of understanding brainwave rhythms, not just exploring internally, but mastering presence in every layer of life. So, keep tuning in, experimenting, and observing what happens as you navigate your mind's currents. The more familiar you become with your inner tides, the more freedom you gain to think clearly, feel deeply, and awaken your full human potential. 8. The sentinels at the gateway. As you venture further into inner discovery, an unexpected element emerges: opposition, not necessarily from your surroundings, but from within yourself. It appears subtly initially: a fleeting uncertainty, a surge of restlessness, a persistent feeling that perhaps this journey isn't genuine. These are not coincidental, they're inherent to the path. I term them the sentinels at the gateway, internal dynamics that gauge your preparedness, test your dedication, and ultimately fortify your determination. View them as waypoints on a significant expedition. Each must be confronted, comprehended, and navigated not with aggression, but with mindfulness. These sentinels aren't there to halt you, they exist to ensure you're genuinely equipped for what's next. Let's examine them individually. First sentinel: uncertainty. Uncertainty often makes the initial appearance. It infiltrates quietly, like an encroaching shadow over your thoughts. You might begin to doubt the reality of all this, question if meditation truly functions, wonder about the validity of your insights, or even if you're capable of this endeavor. This is standard. In fact, it's vital. Uncertainty is the mind's mechanism for shielding you from self-deception. It keeps you anchored, stops you from adopting blind belief, and makes sure you don't confuse transient experiences with enduring truth. But if unchecked, uncertainty can become incapacitating. It can leave you mired in overthinking, perpetually seeking external approval instead of relying on your own experiences. The solution is to see uncertainty for what it is: not a foe, but an instructor. Rather than repelling it, invite it in. Pose questions to it. What precisely are you unsure about? Is it the technique, or is it your own abilities? Could there be an alternative interpretation of your experiences? Gradually, uncertainty evolves into discernment, the capacity to perceive with clarity, unswayed by illusion or excessive confidence. That is its contribution. Once you learn to collaborate with uncertainty instead of resisting it, it loses its grip on you. Second sentinel: apprehension. Once uncertainty starts to subside, apprehension often emerges. But this isn't common apprehension, the type that alerts you to peril or physical threat. This is a more nuanced apprehension stemming from the unfamiliar. It's the reluctance you experience before venturing into new domains. It's the inner voice that queries, what if you lose your sense of self? Or, what if all your beliefs prove to be incorrect? Apprehension surfaces because development necessitates change, and change involves relinquishing command. As you delve into altered states of consciousness, you start to question deeply ingrained beliefs about your identity, your motivations, and the nature of reality. That can be disorienting. You might find yourself waking at night, seized by a peculiar disquiet, or during meditation a sudden wave of anxiety might arise unexpectedly. These are indicators you're nearing the brink of transformation. Again, apprehension isn't attempting to stop you, it's trying to safeguard you. It wants to confirm you're ready for what follows. The most effective way to navigate apprehension is not by disregarding it, but by confronting it squarely. Be present with it, breathe with it, allow it to articulate. Often, once apprehension is given space, it diminishes. What appeared daunting in obscurity becomes manageable in the illumination of awareness. And when you repeat this enough, apprehension ceases to be an obstruction and becomes a compass, signaling you're approaching a significant threshold. Third sentinel: restlessness. Following apprehension comes restlessness. By this point, you've likely had tastes of what's achievable. You've experienced moments of lucidity, felt a shift in perception, witnessed patterns emerge unexpectedly, and now you desire more and quicker. Restlessness is a byproduct of our contemporary conditioning. We exist in a culture of immediate gratification, quick meals, prompt responses, rapid success narratives. So when spiritual development proceeds slowly, sometimes almost invisibly, frustration can arise. You might find yourself wondering, when will I finally understand? Or, why does this still feel so challenging? This is where commitment meets acceptance. Growth cannot be expected. Like a seed in the soil, it requires time to establish roots before it can flourish. Restlessness isn't just about craving outcomes, it's also about resisting the now. It diverts you from your current experience into a non-existent future. To move past this sentinel, you must learn to have faith in the journey, to show up consistently even when progress isn't apparent, to value small shifts as much as major breakthroughs. Each day you return to your practice, you build momentum even if it's not immediately visible. Advancement is cumulative, one breath, one thought, one moment of awareness at a time. Eventually, restlessness transforms into patience. This isn't passive endurance but engaged presence, a readiness to stay involved without demanding instant validation. And that's when true progress begins. Fourth sentinel: the spiritual identity. Once patience is established, the ultimate sentinel materializes, and it's the most deceptive. This one presents itself with an air of wisdom, tranquility, and enlightenment. It communicates in measured tones and offers seemingly profound insights. It is the spiritual identity. Unlike the previous three, which sought to hinder your path through apprehension or frustration, the spiritual identity attempts to misguide you by making you think you've already reached your destination. Suddenly, you perceive yourself as distinct from others, unique, selected. You start to view everyone else as unaware, caught in illusion, while you alone tread the path of awakening. This is perilous. Spiritual identity isn't pride in the conventional sense. It's a subtle expansion of self that employs spiritual terminology to sustain itself. It expresses thoughts like, I grasp things others cannot. Only deep meditators can access truth. I have overcome ego. Ironically, the instant you believe you've overcome ego is when it's most dominant. The spiritual identity flourishes on comparison, exclusivity, and a sense of superiority masked as modesty. It establishes divides between awakened and unawakened, between higher states and lower frequencies. Unchecked, it results in isolation, self-importance, and a distorted self-perception that hinders genuine growth. The sole passage through this sentinel is through grounding, modesty, and contribution. Inquire, how does my insight benefit others? Can I hold this understanding without asserting proprietorship? Am I prepared to remain a learner even as I share? True wisdom doesn't place you above others, it connects you more profoundly to them. It acknowledges that each individual is on their unique journey, at their own rhythm. When you embrace this, the spiritual identity fades, not through dismissal, but through assimilation. You no longer feel the need to validate anything, even to yourself. You simply continue your journey, moving forward. Each of these sentinels imparts something crucial. Uncertainty becomes discernment. Apprehension becomes respect. Restlessness becomes patience. Ego becomes grounded presence. They are not barriers to be sidestepped, they are rites of passage to be embraced. And once you've navigated them, an internal shift occurs permanently. You no longer depend on external approval. You no longer pursue experiences for their novelty. You no longer dread the unknown. Instead, you possess a quiet assurance born not of absolute knowledge, but of direct experience. You now understand the path is real, transformation is attainable, and the deepest truths are discovered not in grand epiphanies, but in the simple act of consistent engagement, time and again. So when the next obstacle appears, as and it will, you won't be alarmed. You'll recognize it for what it is: another sentinel, another passage, and beyond it, the subsequent phase of your evolution. 9. The instance of revelation. Someday, unexpectedly, a change occurs. You won't be able to articulate it, but you'll be certain it transpired. Some call it the shift, others a significant leap. For you, it might feel like awakening from an extended slumber, only to grasp you've been in a dream state all this time. Initially, the indicators are understated. Hues appear more vivid, not because the surroundings changed, but because your perception has. Meaningful coincidences increase those peculiar little alignments that are too precise to disregard. A name unheard for ages surfaces in dialogue just when you needed to recall it. A book randomly chosen reveals an answer to a question you hadn't even articulated. These aren't mystical events, they signify a perceptual alteration. As your awareness broadens, so does your capacity to perceive what was consistently present, concealed beneath the clamor of everyday existence. Then, quite suddenly, the curtain rises, not entirely at once but in stages. It's not as theatrical as movies depict, no flashes of lightning or celestial beings. Instead, it feels profoundly intimate, almost confidential, like recalling something long forgotten. You observe the world with fresh perception, not because anything external altered, but because something within you awakened. The clear demarcation between self and other diminishes. You begin to detect the energetic current behind what's visible, the rhythm beneath the surface. What once felt distinct now feels interconnected. You feel more anchored, not merely in your physical form, but in the present moment. This isn't enlightenment in its ultimate, conclusive sense. It's more like an entryway appearing, a peek at something immense and limitless. And once you've peered through that entryway, you can never fully revert to your former self. But herein lies the paradox: the more intensely you seek this instance, the more it evades you. It materializes only when you let go, when you cease pursuit and simply permit. Revelation doesn't stem from greater effort, it arises from relaxing into the understanding that was perpetually accessible, waiting patiently beneath mental noise, the burden of anticipation, and the rush of daily activities. And that's why most overlook it. They persist in looking externally, believing they must do, attain, or become something additional. But revelation isn't about becoming, it's about unbecoming, shedding the illusions we harbor until only authenticity remains. That's also why it frequently occurs in tranquil moments while strolling, doing chores, observing rainfall. It's not reliant on special circumstances or spiritual disciplines, though these may lay the groundwork. It emerges spontaneously when the mind is sufficiently calm to embrace it. Some describe it as seeing with true clarity for the first time. Others liken it to arriving home after an arduous journey. Whichever analogy resonates, one thing is definite: nothing appears quite the same thereafter. You start to recognize how much of your experience was molded by unexamined beliefs, how many choices were propelled by old anxieties, how frequently you mistook thoughts for reality. With revelation comes lucidity, not merely intellectual comprehension, but deeply felt knowing. You don't just accept something as true, you sense it profoundly. Your entire being aligns with it, and this alignment fosters a new kind of tranquility, not the fleeting satisfaction of achieving a desire, but a profound, steadfast stillness that endures even amidst turmoil. Because now you understand you are not just your body, not just your thoughts, not just your history. You are something far more expansive, a conscious awareness observing life's progression. This insight doesn't eliminate hardship, nor does it render you impervious. You still experience pain, loss, and bewilderment. But now there's a space around those experiences. You no longer get engulfed by them. You observe them, hold them with empathy, and allow them to pass. This marks the onset of genuine freedom. And here's another unexpected aspect. Revelation develops in phases. Each time you believe you've summited, a new vista appears. It's not a singular occurrence, it's a lifelong evolution. You might awaken one day feeling utterly changed, only to grapple with the same old habits a few days later. That's standard. Assimilation requires time. Deep-seated conditioning doesn't disappear instantly just because you've seen the broader perspective. In fact, the more profound the revelation, the more challenging the assimilation, because now every aspect of you is prompted to align with what you've perceived. Every belief, habit, and relationship is brought into conscious light. Some elements will shift readily, others will resist. But each time you return to presence, you reinforce the new way of existence. Eventually, the insights become integrated into your nervous system. They become part of your core, and as they do, your life starts to transform, not through force, but because you became a different individual, one who sees more clearly, feels more profoundly, and lives more intentionally. You begin making choices that mirror your deepest values, not merely conditioned reactions. You engage with others more openly and with less apprehension. You trust yourself more than ever. This is the authentic work of revelation, not the moment of insight itself, but your subsequent actions. So don't anticipate a perpetual high. Don't seek constant euphoria or unbroken joy. True revelation is quieter, more refined. It's discovered in ordinary moments experienced with extraordinary awareness. It's the capacity to remain grounded while perceiving clearly, to feel deeply without losing your bearings, to navigate the world with both wisdom and awe. If this journey has resonated within you, understand that you've merely started. There is so much more to explore, so many enigmas awaiting discovery. Remain inquisitive, stay dedicated, and most importantly, be open to what unfolds next. 10. Traversing the inner depths. Once your inner perception awakens, you'll start to notice time behaving unusually. Instances expand, contract, or coincide. You might receive understandings that cover eons in mere moments. Meaningful coincidences become so common they're undeniable. Initially, this can feel perplexing. You might find yourself asking, did that actually occur? Was it a dream? Or did I truly perceive that? But eventually you grasp something crucial. Time, as you previously knew it, isn't constant. It's malleable, particularly as consciousness broadens. You begin to sense events before they happen, not through literal fortune telling, but as a felt understanding that arises without clear reason. You enter a space and instinctively know who will speak next. You select a book and open to a section that addresses a question you hadn't yet voiced. These are indications you're navigating deeper strata of awareness. And this expansion brings accountability. You'll need to differentiate between symbolic visions and direct perception. Just as your eyes distinguish a tree from its watery image, your inner sight unveils multiple reality layers. Some experiences manifest as metaphors, others as straightforward insight. Learning this distinction requires practice and, most importantly, honesty. This is where many explorers falter. They misinterpret symbolism as literal fact or equate emotional intensity with spiritual profundity. One moment they're getting guidance from an inner source, the next they're certain they've been selected for a grand purpose. The boundary between insight and self-deception can become hazy quickly if you're not vigilant. So, how do you remain anchored? By cultivating an internal stabilizing point, a firm sense of self that stays grounded even as your awareness grows. This anchor is developed through consistent practice, candid self-reflection, and trust in your evolving perception. It doesn't mean quashing what emerges, it means learning to accommodate it without being overwhelmed. Think of it as plunging into profound waters. If you venture too far without knowing the way back, you risk becoming disoriented. But if you learn to interpret the currents, build stamina, and always maintain a view of the shoreline, you can explore with freedom and safety. The same principle applies here. As you go deeper, observe your body's reactions. Physical sensations often signal what's genuine and what isn't. If an insight brings lucidity and peace, it's likely true. If it causes confusion or unease, it might be more projection than actual perception. Also note how your relationships transform. As your awareness increases, so does your sensitivity. You start to detect things others miss. You perceive unspoken frictions in dialogues. You sense energies before any words are exchanged. Some individuals will react well to this shift. They'll value your presence, seek your advice, and evolve with you. Others might feel uneasy. They might withdraw, question your views, or attempt to pull you back to old ways. That's acceptable. Not everyone shares the same journey. Your task isn't to persuade them, it's to stay firm in your own understanding. To navigate this new territory, create daily grounding practices. These might include morning intention setting. Dedicate a few minutes each morning to center yourself before starting your day. Body awareness checks. Regularly tune into your physical feelings to ensure you're not detaching from the now. Reflective writing. Document your experiences, especially after meditation or heightened awareness. This aids in integrating insights and tracking developments. Nature connection. Spend time in natural settings. Nature helps recalibrate your nervous system and reconnects you to life's rhythms. Mindful physicality. Activities like yoga, tai chi, or walking meditation help maintain energy flow and prevent feeling stuck. These practices serve as your internal guide. They remind you that while inner perception is potent, it needs balance with external presence. Otherwise, you risk becoming so engrossed in the unseen that you lose connection with the tangible. Another vital part of traversing the depths is learning to interpret what you perceive. Not every communication is for immediate action. Some are simply invitations to observe, ponder, and let understanding develop organically. Be especially wary of prophetic or visionary experiences. They can feel highly persuasive, even pressing, but acting on them hastily without careful thought can lead to errors. Let them settle. Allow them time to unveil their true significance. And remember, just because something feels profound doesn't mean it's for everyone. Some truths are personal, others are universal. Learn to distinguish. Above all, resist labeling everything as spiritual or otherwise. In the inner depths, such classifications start to fade. What truly counts is whether an experience fosters greater alignment, clarity, and empathy, not if it fits a specific paradigm. As your perception continues to develop, you'll discover that ordinary instances hold extraordinary weight. A brief look across a busy room, a bird alighting nearby, a forgotten melody playing at the perfect moment. These small synchronicities become the universe's way of speaking directly to you. And in those instances, you won't require explanations, you'll simply understand. Traversing the inner depths isn't about achieving a final point. It's about learning to live with expanded awareness while maintaining your stability. It's about balancing mystery and practicality, seeing with clarity while fully participating in daily existence. So, continue onward, remain inquisitive, trust your inner guide, and most importantly, stay grounded. Because the greatest insights aren't found in seclusion, they're experienced moment by moment in the quiet unfolding of a life perceived with depth. 11. Homecoming and assimilation. The true test starts after the revelation, integrating it into everyday existence. What value does expanded awareness hold if it only manifests during meditation or in dreams? You may have encountered something immense, something beyond thought, beyond time, beyond the typical sense of self. And for a period, you might be drawn to remain there, lingering in that realm of lucidity and stillness. But ultimately, you must return. You must re-engage with the world of responsibilities, deadlines, connections, and daily patterns. That's where the genuine work commences, not in the flash of insight, but in how you carry it forward. Assimilation involves dwelling in both spheres simultaneously, perceiving clearly yet functioning normally, feeling profoundly yet staying anchored, utilizing your insights to make sounder choices, connect more genuinely, and live with greater purpose. It's not about transforming into someone entirely new, it's about becoming more completely yourself, free from illusion, resistance, and needless struggle. Initially, this can be challenging. The mind opposes change, particularly when it confronts long-established habits. You might find yourself reverting to old behaviors even after significant experiences. You'll catch moments of clarity, then feel drawn back into confusion. That's standard. Growth isn't a straight line, it's a spiral. You revisit the same lessons until they become deeply ingrained. So don't aim for flawlessness. Aim for advancement, anticipate setbacks, expect periods of doubt followed by sudden understandings. One of the most potent methods for supporting assimilation is through regular reflection. Maintain a journal. Document your experiences and their impact on your conduct. Observe patterns, not just what you perceived or felt during meditation, but how it manifests in your interactions, choices, and emotions throughout your day. This type of record keeping helps you identify subtle shifts that might otherwise pass unnoticed. It provides a map of your inner world, a way to track how insights develop over time. For instance, you might observe that after a particularly profound session, you react differently to pressure. Instead of immediate reaction, you pause. Or instead of being ensnared by frustration, you view the situation with greater clarity. These are signs the shift is taking root in your nervous system. Another crucial aspect of assimilation is learning to share judiciously. Not every truth needs to be voiced. Some insights are best kept confidential until the opportune moment, or perhaps never shared. There will be individuals who connect with your journey and wish to learn from it. There will also be those who misinterpret, reject, or even ridicule your experiences. That's acceptable. Not everyone follows the same path. Be discerning about whom you confide in. Choose with care. Share only what feels secure and fitting. Sometimes, the most impactful action is simply to embody your understanding without needing to articulate it. Above all, maintain equilibrium. Broaden your awareness, but stay rooted in the now. Let your inner perception enrich your life, not serve as an escape from it. You might start to notice your experience of time altering. Moments extend. Common events acquire new significance. You become more attuned to life's rhythm, less ensnared in its superficial turmoil. This doesn't mean you cease to encounter difficulties. Life still presents pain, loss, and unpredictability. But now you face these challenges with a different kind of presence, one that sees beyond immediate discomfort and holds space for deeper comprehension. And this presence becomes your anchor. To fortify it, continue practicing mindfulness in daily life. Don't confine your awareness to formal meditation. Infuse it into your meals, your dialogues, your movements. Learn to be fully present in each moment, however minor or routine. Try this straightforward exercise. Select one daily activity like brushing teeth, washing dishes, commuting. For the next week, perform it with complete focus. Note the sensations in your body. Listen to ambient sounds. Feel your breath. Resist multitasking or mental wandering. After a few days, you'll likely observe a change, a greater sense of calm, a deeper connection to the present. This is assimilation in practice. As you continue assimilating your insights, you may also find your relationships transforming. Some bonds deepen as you present yourself more authentically. Others may dissolve as you outgrow old patterns. This is natural. As your awareness expands, so does your capacity to discern what supports your growth and what no longer does. You begin to establish clearer personal limits. You communicate more honestly. You prioritize genuine connection over mere obligation. And by doing so, you create space for more significant relationships to flourish. Don't hurry this process. Assimilation requires time. You're reconfiguring neural connections, shifting emotional tendencies, and reshaping your sense of identity. It's not an overnight transformation, but with patience, consistency, and self-compassion, it unfolds naturally. Eventually, you arrive at a point where the remarkable becomes commonplace, not because its wonder diminishes, but because your definition of normal has expanded to encompass it. You no longer require special circumstances to access depth. You can be fully present in a bustling environment, in a tense meeting, amidst heartbreak, and still connect with that quiet knowing within. That's the hallmark of true assimilation, not perpetual ecstasy, not unending enlightenment, but the capacity to hold space for both light and dark, joy and sorrow, insight and confusion. And perhaps most significantly, you learn that spiritual growth isn't about arriving at some ultimate end. It's about discovering boundless ways to explore, to evolve, and to live more fully in every instant. So continue onward, stay inquisitive, stay dedicated, because the journey doesn't conclude here. In truth, it's merely beginning. 12. The ultimate realization. Here's the understanding you'll eventually come to: the more exceptional your experiences become, the more ordinary they feel. Not because their magic fades, but because your concept of normal expands to embrace them. Initially, every insight seems momentous. You emerge from meditation with a profound sense of wonder, certain you've touched something hallowed. You navigate the world perceiving patterns where previously there was only disorder. You feel distinct, as if you've stepped beyond time or glimpsed the underlying structure of reality itself. But gradually, those moments cease to feel like epiphanies and begin to feel like an integral part of your being. It's like mastering swimming. You struggle initially, flailing, uncertain if you'll ever succeed. Then, one day you instinctively know how to float and move, and thereafter, swimming is natural, effortless. That's how it is with inner perception. What once seemed mystical starts to feel practical. What once demanded extensive meditation becomes accessible in a single moment of awareness. The insights you formerly pursued now arrive spontaneously, integrated into the texture of daily existence. And here's the most profound discovery: the division between the mystical and the everyday dissolves. Everything merges into a seamless current of awareness, understanding, and presence. You begin to see that spirituality isn't an activity, it's your essence. It's not confined to secluded retreats or elaborate rituals. It's in how you savor your morning beverage, how you listen attentively without interrupting, how you pause before responding in a tense situation. Spirituality becomes less about attaining elevated states and more about living completely in this one. This doesn't imply you stop developing. On the contrary, you grow more profoundly, more subtly, more unceasingly. Your journey no longer centers on dramatic revelations or abrupt shifts. Instead, it unfolds in quiet, persistent manners: deeper patience, greater lucidity, a more steadfast presence. You find yourself less preoccupied with validating anything to anyone, including yourself. You no longer need to categorize experiences as spiritual or not. You simply live with heightened awareness, greater empathy, more alignment. And that in itself becomes its own form of awakening. One of the most surprising elements of this phase is how infrequently you discuss it. There's no compulsion to declare your advancement or detail your transformation. The changes occur so organically that even you might forget things were ever different. You still experience difficult days. You still feel weary, frustrated, disoriented. But now there's an underlying current of knowing, a quiet conviction that everything is progressing precisely as it should. This is the ultimate realization. Enlightenment doesn't appear as you imagined. It doesn't eliminate suffering or remove hardship. It simply provides the capacity to meet life with composure, even when things seem to unravel. Because now you comprehend that nothing is lasting, not happiness, not sorrow, not even your present grasp of reality. All of it changes, all of it fades, all of it transforms. And yet, beneath all the flux, something enduring remains: an awareness that observes without bias, a stillness that encompasses everything, a knowing that affirms your belonging. This understanding settles deep within you. It becomes your bedrock, your guide, your sanctuary. And perhaps the most beautiful aspect of this journey is its endless nature. Each day offers new chances to deepen, refine, and apply what you've assimilated. It's not about reaching a final point, it's about discovering infinite avenues for exploration. Some days you'll uncover something entirely fresh. Other days you'll revisit an old lesson and finally grasp it in a way previously impossible. Growth isn't always linear, it often spirals, returning to familiar territory with new eyes. But each turn of the spiral draws you nearer to completeness. So don't rush, don't compel. Don't compare your progress to anyone else's schedule. Your journey is uniquely yours, unfolding at the ideal rhythm for you. If this path has resonated within you, understand that you've merely started. There is so much more to explore, so many enigmas awaiting discovery. Remain inquisitive, stay dedicated, and most importantly, be open to what unfolds next. Because the greatest insights aren't found in seclusion. They're experienced moment by moment in the quiet unfolding of a life perceived with depth, and yours is still in progress. So keep moving forward. There's still so much more to discover.